Seattle. 10:02 a.m. The doors of Asterion Motors, Seattle flagship, opened with a gentle hiss, like even the glass was hesitant to welcome her. Harper Lynn stepped in. No one looked up. No one needed to. She wasn't wearing anything that said worth noticing, a soft gray linen dress, no jewelry, hair pulled back into a low twist. Her tote, a canvas bag softened by time, brushed her hip with every step. It carried a notebook, a pen, and the kind of silence that could either be reverence or revolution. She walked past a display of brochures that boasted quiet power, pure precision irony, she thought. At the center of the showroom stood the Atlas V8 flagship, fully electric, fully unaffordable. If you asked anyone who made minimum assumptions based on maximum ignorance, she stopped, not just to admire it, but to remember. Her father's name was etched in the VIN plate inside that vehicle. William Lynn, the man who built this empire from a tiny garage and 3 recycled lithium cells. The man whose funeral Harper didn't attend publicly. The man whose company she had quietly inherited only to step aside, choosing silence over spotlight. She hadn't set foot in an Asterion showroom in 6 years. Today she came not as heir, not as executive. Today she came as a test. "Excuse me, miss." A salesman had appeared, smile-tight tie, looser than his judgment. He looked her over once, from linen to tote bag, filtered her through years of bias in under 5 seconds. "The Atlas isn't available for browsing today," he said. "You might want to check out the Nova series. It's more accessible." Harper met his gaze calmly. "I only asked the price." He hesitated, then shrugged. "Starts at $198 and $1,000. But again, it's appointment only." Lies spoken with the ease of someone who'd told them before. She nodded once. Didn't push, didn't explain. But as she turned to leave, her hand brushed the Atlas one more time. Steel cold, familiar. She could almost hear her father's voice in her ear. "The car is never the point, Harper. The moment always is." She stepped out into the gray Seattle morning, and the moment began. Harper had almost reached the door when she heard the voice. Sweet, sharp, sugar-laced venom. "Miss, excuse me." She turned not because of the words, but because of the tone. A woman in heels too high for the floor and a skirt too tight for the truth was walking toward her with a clipboard clutched like a verdict. Her name tag read Sienna. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're not supposed to be in this section," she said cheerfully, with the kind of false kindness that always came with a kill shot. Harper tilted her head slightly. "I beg your pardon?" Sienna's tone softened, which only made it worse. "I think you may have gotten turned around. If you're here about the cleaning position, HR is in the back annex, through the service hallway." It was said quietly, but not quietly enough. A junior sales associate nearby looked up, blinked, then looked away. Harper stared at her, still silent. Not shocked, just disappointed. "I'm not here for a job," she replied evenly. Sienna didn't flinch. She was too good for that. "Oh, sorry. I just assumed with the bag and all. No offense." Yes, the classic follow-up. "No offense," as if cruelty could be wiped clean by 2 syllables of faux innocence. "It's a lovely tote," Sienna added, as if that somehow made it better. Very eco-conscious. There it was again, that condescension wrapped in PR tone. Harper gave the faintest smile, the kind of smile you wear when you've been through worse and seen better. "Thank you," she said. "I carry it everywhere." "That's sweet," Sienna replied, blinking too much. Behind them, the salesman from earlier, Trey, was already fawning over a couple that had walked in minutes after Harper. The man wore loafers without socks. The woman had sunglasses on indoors. "This is the couple we love," Sienna murmured to no one in particular. "We don't even have to sell to them. They come ready." She didn't whisper. She wanted Harper to hear, and Harper did, but she didn't react. She just turned slowly, linen dress brushing her knees, and walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. Outside, she stood in the drizzle, eyes on the cloudy sky. Her hands clenched gently around the straps of her tote, not in rage, in resolve. Inside that tote, folded carefully beside her notebook, was a document most people in that showroom would kill to see. Asterion Motors. Board authorization subject. Full discretion granted to Ms. Harper Lynn in matters of internal evaluation and personnel correction. She hadn't used it in years. She hadn't needed to. But now the moment had arrived. She took out her phone, opened one thread. The name at the top, Mara Lynn, Legal and Legacy Affairs. And she typed, Seattle Flagship. "We have a culture breach, schedule, full evaluation. quiet protocol. Then she put her phone away and smiled, not bitterly, but like someone who'd been waiting a long time to be underestimated just one more time. 10:00 a.m. The next day, the showroom was alive again, or at least pretending to be. Espresso hissed in the machine behind the counter. Jazz hummed through hidden speakers. Trey was adjusting his cufflinks in the mirrored wall, rehearsing that half-smile he used to disarm anyone not already sold. Yesterday was wild, he muttered to his co-worker. You should have seen her linen dress, canvas bag full fantasy. Probably wandered in from the farmer's market. His colleague chuckled. Still better than the crypto bros last week. Yeah, Trey said, smirking. At least she knew she didn't belong. Laughter light, confident. Until the front doors opened. The air changed, not in volume, in pressure. First through the doors came a woman in a navy suit. Glasses, hair pulled into a tight knot. Behind her, a man in a gray coat carried a leather folio stamped with the Asterian legacy seal, a symbol not seen by sales staff in over a decade. Then came her, Harper. Same soft linen dress, same quiet steps, same canvas tote. No makeup, no theatrics. But this time, the silence belonged to her. The receptionist froze. Trey blinked once, then again. What the hell? He whispered. The woman in the navy suit stepped forward first. I need a private conference room, she said. Now. Of course, the manager stammered, appearing out of nowhere. May I ask who you're here with? The man with the folio answered. Ms. Harper, Lynn, acting in full legacy capacity under William Lynn's founding agreement. The sentence landed like a detonation. Harper Lynn, the girl with the tote, the one they ignored, the one they insulted, was the sole heir of the man whose name was etched in titanium on every vehicle they sold. Trey backed up 2 steps, like the floor had shifted beneath him, like gravity itself had changed its mind. Harper turned finally to face him. Their eyes locked. His voice caught. Miss Lynn, I didn't. You didn't need to know who I was, she said calmly. You only needed to know who you were. The room went still. No jazz, no chatter. Even the espresso machine went quiet, as if machinery too had shame. The manager led them to the glass-walled conference room. Inside, Harper laid her tote on the table. From it, she pulled a thick leather folder marked Seattle Evaluation, Internal Culture Integrity Review, and began. No lawyers, no press, no threats. Just Harper, the daughter of the man who built the empire, now returning not to inherit it, but to audit it. The glass-walled conference room had never felt so exposed. Everyone could see in. That was intentional. Harper didn't want this moment hidden. She wanted it witnessed, not for humiliation, but for clarity. She sat at the center of the table, linen dress soft against the sleek leather chair. No badge, no title plate, no grand introduction. Just her presence, quiet, still, unmistakably final. Across from her sat Trey and Sienna, both trying to look composed, both failing. Harper's legal counsel placed a sealed envelope on the table. The others didn't need to know what was inside. The weight of it, truth, transcripts, internal reports, and security audio, was enough. Harper spoke first. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. This isn't a disciplinary meeting, she said. It's a cultural correction. Culture doesn't fail in policy. It fails in moments. And you had yours. No one breathed. You judged me within seconds, she continued. Dismissed me within 20. But more dangerous than what you did to me is what you taught the room to believe was acceptable. Sienna shifted, crossing her legs too quickly. Trey sat straighter but looked smaller. Harper opened another folder, laid out a printed form. Asterion, Cultural Integrity Evaluation, Seattle Flagship. I'm not here to fire anyone, she said. That would be too easy. That landed. Sienna blinked. Trey stared. They'd braced for fury, not reform. You're being reassigned. Sienna's lips parted. To where? Harper didn't flinch. You'll report to the South Seattle Driver Outreach Center. You'll spend the next 90 days teaching electric vehicle orientation to refugees, elderly clients, and single mothers. 3 afternoons a week. No press. No titles, just humility and service. Then she turned to Trey. His jaw had tightened, but he said nothing. You'll shadow customer recovery. Every complaint that comes in because someone was ignored, judged, or quietly made to feel less. That goes to you. You'll take the call. You'll write the report by hand. Trey nodded quietly. Harper paused, letting the silence sit. then. This is not punishment. This is practice. Respect isn't reactive. It's built before you know who you're speaking to. She stood. The room didn't move, not even the air. As she reached the door, she stopped, one hand resting on the polished metal handle. The next time a woman walks in, she said, "And doesn't look like money. Assume she built the room you're standing in." Then she walked out. At the front desk, the young valet, the only one who'd smiled at her the day before, stood watching from a distance. She approached him. "You treated me like a person," she said softly, "before you knew I was anything else." He swallowed. I just figured you were someone's family." She smiled. "I am." She reached into her tote, handed him a folded envelope. Inside, an invitation to the National Assyrian Training Program for Client Experience Managers, with her signature at the bottom. "You start Monday," she said. "They're expecting you." His eyes widened. "Why me?" "Because you already passed the test," Harper replied. "And no one told you it was happening." She walked out, no fanfare. But everyone inside knew the storm had passed, and nothing would ever be the same. The woman lived on the edge of Beacon Hill in a one-bedroom walk-up that had seen too many winters and not enough repairs. Her name was Sofal Nie, a retired laundry worker, Cambodian-American, 73 years old, widowed. And once, a lifetime ago, she had fed a young girl and her grieving immigrant mother when no one else would. She hadn't asked for thanks. She hadn't asked for anything. She had just been there with warm rice, a worn blanket, and a smile that didn't ask where they came from. And Harper never forgot. That morning, Sofal opened her door to the soft hum of an electric engine. She squinted against the sunlight. Parked in front of her building was a silver Asterion Atlas V8, the exact model Harper had asked about in the showroom days before. A delivery specialist in a sharp charcoal uniform stepped forward, holding out a small white envelope. "Miss Nie," he asked. She nodded, confused. "This vehicle is yours, fully registered, fully paid." Her hands trembled slightly. I don't understand. I didn't order." "It's a gift," the man said gently, "from someone who remembers." Inside the envelope was a handwritten note. The letters were clean, unhurried, familiar somehow. "For the woman who fed my mother when we were too proud to ask. For the warmth you gave when the world felt cold. For the rice, the stories, and the strength I borrowed as a child. You once said I'd grow into something beautiful. I hope this is a small piece of that promise. H." Sofal pressed the note to her chest, and, for the first time in years, tears spilled down her cheeks, not from grief, but from being seen. That afternoon, she drove the Atlas to her weekly grocery trip slowly, carefully. And when she parked in the store lot, a man walking by whistled low. "Nice ride," she smiled. "She's a gift." Back in a quiet corner office, Harper sat cross-legged on the floor of her father's old library. The walls still smelled like cedar and machine oil, her favorite scent growing up. She opened a photo album, found the picture of Sofal standing with her mother on their front porch, holding a steaming pot of soup. She closed the book, exhaled. This wasn't about the car. It never was. It was about memory, and how it turns into legacy when it's returned without fanfare. 3 weeks later, the Seattle showroom felt different. Not repainted, not rebuilt, but rewired from the inside out. The jazz still played, the espresso machine still hissed, but the tone had changed, so had the pace. People noticed more, assumed less. Trey now worked 3 days a week in customer recovery, answering calls he would have once rolled his eyes at Sienna, was still at the driver outreach center, helping women who reminded her of the woman she had once belittled. And the staff, they didn't know what exactly had happened, but they knew something had. Because culture doesn't shift noisily. It shifts when the air changes. On a Monday morning, the showroom opened to a surprising visit. 2 Asterion HQ executives entered quietly. One was Carla Brandt, the company's National Operations Director. The other was Omar Reyes, the head of Human Culture and Training, a title he had famously refused to change to HR. They didn't bring cameras. They didn't bring reprimands. They brought chairs. The team was asked to pause work and gather in the client lounge. Carla stood first. Her voice was calm, precise, the kind of voice that never wasted syllables. "We're not here to repeat what you already know," she said. "We're here to make sure you understand what matters more." She glanced around. 3 weeks ago, this location was chosen without announcement for a cultural review. Omar stepped in. That review wasn't about sales numbers. It was about small moments. the ones that build or break the soul of a brand. They didn't say Harper's name. They didn't have to. Omar continued. A woman walked in wearing a linen dress. She was quiet. She was kind. She was judged. And yet, the way that moment unfolded has since changed the structure of how we operate. He looked at the team. You may not know who she was, but you'll feel what she left behind. Every day, you choose to treat someone as seen, not sorted. Carla added, respect isn't a reaction to status. It's a habit, a muscle, a standard. She smiled, but it was the kind that came after hard lessons, not easy victories. We won't tell you who passed or failed. What matters is what you do next. Later that evening, a junior team member found a new plaque placed discreetly in the lounge. Asterion, Seattle. This location was part of the Quiet Legacy Audit, 2024. You never know who's walking through your door, but you always know who you are when they do.